Tav Chaf Gimel Amid Beis will begin Chaf Gimel Amid Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom with the 2 dots. Rabbi Kiva says, even if you don't have any of the residential functions, you can still be metaltal in the karpav, as long as it does not exceed the base sign. More Rabbi Kiva Tanakama. Well, Rabbi Kiva seems to be the same thing as the Tanakama. They seem to be saying the same halacha, that you have a limitation of the base sign, and but you don't need a residential function over there. More answers. There is a minimal amount that is the chilik between them, where they argue. What is that minimal amount? The Sanya Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, Davar muad yesh al shiv mama v'shirayim. There is 70, and by 70, it's actually a little bit more than 70 and shirayim, 70 shirayim. There's a little bit more than that, because he holds that it has to be 5,000 square amas. The Chotzer Mishkan was 50 by 100, which is 5,000. Now, it has to be square. The Chotzer Mishkan was not square; it was 50 by 100. The karpav that we're talking about is square. It's 5,000 square amas. Now, 70 amma and shiraim, it's 70 and 2/3 amma, but 72 amma is 4,994 square amas. So there's a double more. There's 6 square amas. That's the difference between them. Rav Yehuda Omer, davar muad yesh al shiv mama shiraim. There's an accident is a little bit more than that we say that the maximum amount is. V'lo nosam b'cham shiur v'kama. Shir Sasayim V'kama, what is the amount of it? Shir Sasayim Kachotzer Mishkan. He holds that the Shir is the Sasayim Kachotzer Mishkan, 5,000 square amas, which is a little bit more than 70 and 2/3 and 70 2/3. So the difference between them is that 6 square amas. So we're saying that the karpav was like the Chotzer Mishkan. The maximum size is Kachotzer Mishkan, 5,000 square amas. Where do we see a smachta remez to this in the pasuk? Amar Rabbi Yehuda says the Amar Kral, the pasuk says by the Mishkan, Arich HaChatzer Mea Ba'ama, the length of the Chatzer was 100 amma, V'reichev Chamishim B'Chamishim, and the width was 50. But it says Chamishim B'Chamishim. So what does it mean Chamishim, 50 by 50? The Chatzer Mishkan was 50 by 100. What does it mean it was chamishim b'chamishim? So we darshan that Omra Torah tul chamishim v'saviv chamishim. Take 50, so you have 50, and it was 100. Take off 50, and surround this with this 50. Now, if you take strips from this 50, and to surround it and distribute it equally around, then you'll have a little bit more than 20 on each side, and you'll have 70 shiraim, which is 5,000 square amas. So it's a remez to make a 5,000 square amas. The actual Chatzer Mishkan was not square; it was 50 by 100, but it says chamishim b'chamishim. So it says chamishim b'chamishim, which means 50 by 50. It's a remez that there's another type of a chatzer, which is 50 by 50. Now, 50 by 100 is 5,000 square amas. A square of 5,000 square amas is 70 and shiraim by 70 shiraim. That's 5,000 square amas. Take 50 from the 100 and surround the 50 with that. And then when you take that and surround it and distribute it around this area, that'll be 70 shiraim, 70 shiraim. So the remez that there's a different type of area, which is 5,000 square amas, that there's a negei lahalacha, which is the din of a karpav. So Mor says that is the remez of everybody. Pasha the Krova Maiksiv. What is the Pashup Pshat in the pasuk? What is it referring to? It's talking about the Chatzer Mishkan. It's 50 by 100. And it says, V'roichev chamishim, the width is b'chamishim. Pashtei the Krova Maiksiv, Amar Abaya, Hamed Mishkan al Svas chamishim, The Pashat Pshat, the Pasuk is that where do you place the Mishkan? So the Chalter is 50 by 100. Place the Mishkan at the 50 mark, at the point where it's 50. So there's 50 amas in front. So place it at the midpoint of the Chalter. The midpoint is 50, it's a length of 100. Place it at the midpoint. That will give you 50 amas in front. But that will give you, aside from the 50 amas in front, it'll give you 20 amas all around, because the length was 30. So if you're putting it at the point of 50, this is 30, that means there's 20 over here. Now the width is 50, and the width of the Mishkan is 10. So this takes up 10, there's 20 on each side. So that's where you place the Mishkan, so you have 20 and 20 in the back and 20 on all three sides. That's how you place, that's how you situate the Mishkan. So that's the Pashte Dekra. Rabbi Eliezer says that if the length was more than the width, even by 1 amma, you cannot be metaltal in the karpa. For the Gemara Vatanya, we learn the Bryce, it seems to be a state of Rabbi Eliezer Aimer im Haisa Arka Yesra al Pishnayim Barachba. He says if the length was twice as much as the width, ein metaltal in Messiah. But if it's long as it's not twice as much, you could be metaltal. You have to learn the Mishnah when it says even 1 amma more, it means Yesra al Pishnayim Barach B'Tanan. It means it can't be more than twice. It can't be twice as much, but otherwise you could. It doesn't have to be perfectly square. It doesn't have to be square. Well, if that's the case, that's the shlit of Rav Yosi. What's the difference between them? Because Rav Yosi says, Afilu Pishnayim. Rav Yosi says, Beferish Afilu Vitz Pishnayim. Where the answer is, Ikebeinayim Ribua de Ribu Rabbanan. The question is, if Lechatchila doesn't have to be square. Rav Yosi says that even if it's Pishnayim, that he holds that b'diavad it's kosher, you can carry it there rather, even if it's Pishnayim. But l'chadchila it should be square. The Ribu, the Rabban, the way Darshan in the Pasuk, Chamishim b'Chamishim, that it should be l'chadchila square. Rabbi Eliezer holds, no, it doesn't have to be square at all. So the way Rashi seems to be learning the machlekes is, we learn out from the Chalter Mishkan. Are we learning out the total size? Are we learning out the total size, that it's 5,000 square amas, or are we learning that it has to also be the chamishim b'chamishim, that l'chadchila kol panim, it should be a square to be mekayim the chamishim b'chamishim. So that's the nafkamina between them. Rav Yosi, Itmar, Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, Shmuel, halacha ke Rav Yosi. The halacha is like Rav Yosi, and therefore you're allowed to carry in the karpav even if it is, the length is twice as much as the width, but not more. Rav Bibi Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, he says halacha ke Rabbi Akiva, and he said in the name of the Shmuel that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. Now Rabbi Akiva said that you don't need a dwelling inside the karpa, but the Ravai Kula, and both are to saying the Shmuel is saying the kula of both of these tanaim. So therefore it's shrich. And therefore you have to tell me both. Because the Ashmin and halach Rav Yosi, if you had only told me the halach is like Rav Yosi, I would have said havamina ad ika shamiro beis dira. Now Rav Yosi didn't say that you don't need some sort of residential dwelling over there in the karpa to be able to carry. He didn't address it. So you might have thought that if he said halach is like Rav Yosi, but you might have thought, yes, it's true that even if you have the length twice the width, but you still need a shamir beis dira. You need a guardhouse, or some sort of residential area. You might have thought that that's what Rav Yosi holds. Kamashmal and halach Rabbi Akiva. That's why he tells me the halach like Rabbi Akiva, that Rabbi Akiva says beferish that is not necessary. V'yashmin and halach Rabbi Akiva. And if he only told me the halach Rabbi Akiva, I would have thought havamina the arch v'katin loy. I would have thought that it has to be square. It can't be longer than wide. Kamashmalan Allah Rav Yosi, that Allah Rav Yosi says beferish, even if the length is twice as much as the width. So both are lakula. It does not have to be square. Akopanim b'diavad to be able to carry. If you're making it to begin with, then ken zayin l'charchila, it has to be square. But if you didn't b'diavad, you can carry with it, and also you can carry in the karpav even though there's no shamira beis dira. If you have a karpa which is more than a beis asayim, it's more than 5,000 karams, but it's hukav ladira, it was fenced in for the purpose of a residential use. So that would allow carrying even in an area larger than a beis asayim. So karpa sheyoisimi beis asayim hukav ladira, so now you can carry it. However, nizra ruboy, but then he planted the majority of it, so he planted it with vegetables. Now, hareyu kagina v'aser, we treat it like a gina, like a garden. That nullifies the residential use. It's no longer considered to be a hukav ladira, and therefore you're limited in a beis asayim. It's larger than beis asayim. You can't carry over there. But nitza ruba, if it wasn't planted with vegetables, planted with trees, even if it's a majority, it's still considered like a chotzer, a mutter, because even if there's trees, people, residents can use it. They walk, they go for walks over there, and they still use it as part of the residential use. If it's planted with vegetables, it's a garden. People don't walk there, they can't use it for their own personal use. So that nullifies it. But if it's planted with trees, it's like a park, and it does not nullify the residential use, and you could carry over there. The Gemara will now, in the next Amud, and we'll discuss this in greater detail. So now the Gemara analyzes what we've just said. Nizra Ruba, it says that most of the area was planted with vegetables, then you can't carry through it because it's mevato the residential purpose, and therefore it's considered that it's loy hukav ladira. So Amar of Huna Braid of Yeshua loy amen el yosmi beis asayim. He said that's only where the planted area is more than a beis asayim. Aval beis asayim mutter. But if the planted area is only beis asayim, then it's mutter. Then it's mutter to carry over there, because even though it's not hukav ladira, but the portion of it that's not hukav ladira, part that's a gina, that's a garden, is not beis asayim. So if it's not more than a beis asayim, even if it's not hukav ladira, even if it's not made for residential purposes, it's still within the beis asayim, it's mutter to carry. So even if most of the area is planted and it's a gina, but you have the other part which is not planted, which is hukav ladira, and you have the gina part, which is not hukav ladira, but it's less than a beis asayim. So you're allowed to carry within the whole area. Frek the Gemara Kiman ki Rav Shimon, where you're saying that's going according to Rav Shimon. This non Rav Shimon oimer echad gagais ve'echad chatzeres ve'echad karpipois reshus achas lahen lekelim sheshavsa b'soichen v'loy lekelim sheshavsa b'soichen bayis. Rav Shimon says that we view rooftops, we can view karpavs and chatzeros, they're all considered as one. You can carry from one of these areas to the other areas. You can't carry from a house to these areas or from these areas to a house, but these different types of areas are considered one. You can carry from one to the other. So what are we saying? We're saying if you plant most of the area, so you planted most of the area of the karpav. So this is considered to be a gina. Now this is a gina, and this is considered to be a residential. But since this is less than a beis asayim, you're allowed to carry here, you're allowed to carry from here to here, because both areas you can carry from, because we look at this is, if it's within a beis asayim, even though it's not hukav ladira, you can carry here. And according to Rav Shimon, you can carry from a gina to a chotzer to a gina, so you can carry in the whole area. So Frank the Gemara, no, but Rav Shimon Nami came in the Nizra Ruba, but since most of this area is planted, have a mita, you should look at the meat bottle gabi Ruba, have a karpa v'yisri beis asayim also. You should look at the miut that it's bottled to here, and therefore this should be considered more than a beis asayim, and it should be also, even according to Rav Shimon. But nevertheless, since this is a miut, we should say it's bottled, and we should view the whole area as a gina, and a gina that's more than a beis asayim, you can't carry in it. So even though he holds you can carry from a chotzer to a gina, but since this is in one enclosure and most of it is a gina, the entire area will be viewed as a gina. El Gemara says, it says if that only a mute of the area was planted, then it's mutter to carry. So if you have only a mute of the area was planted in the karpav, then you can carry in the whole area. So we say, Hamiyut Shore Amar Varhuna Braid of Yeshua Loy Amran El Dolay have a beis asayim. That's only where the area that's planted is less than a beis asayim. Aval beis asayim also. But if it's a beis asayim, then it will be also. It's only mutter if you say if the planted area is less than a beis asayim. Then we say, then this whole area, this is less than a beis asayim. It's a miut. And therefore you'll say it's bottled to the larger area, and we'll consider the whole area as a chotzer. However, if this is a beis asayim, then the holes, you can't say it's bottled. Now, even though it's a miut of the entire area, but it's significant on its own, you can't say it's bottled. So therefore, since it's not bottled, this is a gina, this is a chotzer, and according to the Rabbanon, you can't carry from a gina to a chotzer. Now, even though yes, it's a miut of the area, so therefore you don't have more than a beis asayim that's not hukav ladira. You don't have a more than a beis asayim which is not for a residential use, because most of this area is a chotzer. But once this is a beis asayim, you can't say it's bottled. And once you can't say it's bottled, this is a gina. This is a chotzer. You can't carry from a gina to chotzer according to the Rabbanon. So, come on, Kirabanan.